All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:04 PM. And we can do roll call. And Christina Davis, I'm present. I'm just gonna go around who's normally here. Pam Summers, not present. Judy Austin, not present. Keith Lipker,
Present.
present. Paul Varga, not present. Tim Rhodes
Present.
and Holland Love.
Present.
Okay, and so Tim, I'm gonna seat you for Paul. And Holland, I'm gonna seat you for Pam. mm, 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 mm. Okay, communications, there's been a lot. Let's see. One thing I heard from the treasurer, she wants me to meet with the auditor tomorrow to discuss how we handle the Board of Ed non-lapsing account. And that's where the money goes that's left, any money that's left over at the end of the school's fiscal year. If it's within 2% of their total operating budget, they can put that money into the Board of Ed non-lapsing account. And then that money can be used in, to somewhat to their discretion. Apparently our Board of Ed non-lapsing account is in the general fund, which may or may not be an issue. So the auditor wants to talk about that. I don't think it's like anything, it's nothing like terrible. It's just, we might want to look at this and maybe move it into its own fund so that it's kind of independent as opposed to being in the general fund.
Mhm.
But I really don't know anything more than that. I'll know more after this meeting tomorrow. There was also some communications about this agenda, because the original version that I sent out on the advice of Mike D'Amato, who works in town hall, who's kind of the de facto on-site tech guy, he suggested to prevent Zoom bombing, that one approach that other towns take, including Mansfield, is to say, don't put the live link in the agenda, because bots crawl the web and they scrape any live Zoom links they can find and they Zoom bomb. And so one way around that is to put in the agenda, if you would like to join, this will be a hybrid meeting. If you would like to join, please email. And that's what I did in the original version, but there were some concerns from the first selectwoman about it. So that's why, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a revised agenda that got posted to the town website that did have a live link. But upon doing some more research and seeing that Mansfield does do the email way, I'm hopeful that we can go that direction, and continue to have the Zoom option, because as we're seeing tonight, people really like to take advantage of it. So I don't want to cut off Zoom, because I think that we will not have quorums. Also, there are people that, like our auditor is in Mystic, doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to drive up for a presentation. I would much rather give them the flexibility of a Zoom. Sherry, our treasurer, lives in Brooklyn. I'd much rather give her the flexibility for Zoom. So I personally don't want to lose Zoom if possible. So hoping we can come up with a good solution that works for everybody, that protects the meeting so that we don't have the disruption that we had at the last meeting, because that was very annoying and disturbing. So that was one of the communications. I got another communication regarding the STEEP grant, which is later in the agenda, so I'll cover that there. I also got a communication from Catherine that she wouldn't be able to attend tonight's meeting, and that her update is identical to what was shared last week. So I can resend that to everybody if they would like to see it, but that is, that's it for communications. The next item on the agenda is approving minutes for the regular meeting held on November 14th, 2024. That, would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Also move.
Thank you, Keith. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that sounded unanimous. Thank you. All right, the next one is regular meeting minutes for November 21st. That was the meeting that was 2 minutes long. And so that's what the meeting minutes say. So I'm hoping we're not gonna have a lot of discussion on that one. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Okay, I'll approve. I'll so move.
Okay, thanks. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Okay, public comments. No public comment, I'm assuming. Okay, thank you. All right, under new business, we have select women's update, which, like I said, she sent via email. It's identical to the previous week, but I will resend that so everybody can see it. Item B, discussion regarding resignation of the Ashford Board of Finance recording secretary. So Valerie, who's been a really valued member of this team, here for almost every meeting the last several years, did email me that she unfortunately wanted to resign. She's I think she's in her 80s. In her email, she said that to me, so I don't think I'm speaking out of school there. And I think she just wants to kind of slow down a little bit and not have to be at this meeting, which I don't blame her for that. So best of luck to her, and we appreciate her efforts. So in the interim, I will take minutes, just to warn you, they are not going to be as thorough as Valerie's, just because of time constraints. Really, technically, all we have to have in the minutes are the motions, the seconds, the votes. We don't have to have the level of detail in the minutes that Valerie has provided, although that is a good service for the community. But as we look for someone new to do it, I'll have to step in and just do a basic set of minutes every meeting. So with that, if you guys know of anyone who might be interested, it is a paying position. I think it's $80 a meeting, if I'm correct. So I don't know if any names come to mind of someone who is, fastidious and organized and wants to help out the community. Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah.
I
So
feel sorry for you trying to do both, because I've done
Yeah.
that before and it's a tough
it's a lot.
stuff.
It'll especially be a lot once we get into next year, so I'm really hopeful we can find someone, by January. So please, tap into your networks if you don't mind, just sort of, if you know of anybody, in town who actually could be someone out of town, doesn't, as long as they're willing to, and if we can continue to use the Zoom, they can just, be virtual. They don't even technically have to be in the room. So I think I will post on the Ashford community page that we're looking for someone. And I will try to put something in the Citizen as well. I think in the past, that's how they've found people, so. I don't know, Keith, are you on any other boards or commissions where that has a secretary?
No.
Sometimes if you're doing one, it's like, oh, I might as well do another.
Mhm. Who does planning and zoning have?
I don't know.
I thought they had somebody.
I know Valerie also does inland wetlands. I don't know if she's continuing to do that or if she's resigned there as well. That one's a little bit less, I don't think they meet as often as we do. Okay, well, again, if you hear of someone or think of someone who would be good for the job, please let me know. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the 2025-2026 budget calendar. So that document, I can share my screen. We've looked at this for the last couple of weeks. We were kind of waiting for some final dates from Region 19, and then also a final date here from the first select woman. So basically, the first budget presentation, would be February 20th. And that would be the school budget. And I'm proposing we follow a similar model that we did last year, which is we got the school budget on the Friday, then we reviewed it individually on our own over the weekend and submitted questions. They came to me and then I sent them to the Board of Ed. So that then the Board of Ed could come to our meeting on Thursday with answers, as opposed to us kind of just putting them on the spot with random questions in person. This, over the last couple of years, we've done this and it's helped kind of make sure everybody's prepared and not wasting time, essentially. So that's that schedule, and then a similar model for the general government budget. You know, we would get the budget on the Friday, the following Monday, we would submit questions, and then the formal presentation and answers to those questions would be shared on March 6th. Then we would have basically 3 weeks, March 13th, the 20th, and then the 27th to kind of deliberate, wait, you know, there's always last minute numbers that come in, like, oh, the insurance, like, we got a last ditch change with the insurance, that always happens. So those 3 weeks there to sort of let things kind of move as needed. And for us to ask any additional questions if we need them, and then make a final decision on March 27th. The one thing to keep in mind with this is, if you notice, we're making a decision on March 27th, and Region 19 is making a decision the following Tuesday. So technically, all we would be acting on that March 27th, it would be the Ashford school budget and the general government budget. We don't have a say in the Region 19 budget, but it is included in, you know, sort of our public hearing materials, I believe. And it is included in the referendum. So then we've got the public hearing on April 8th, the town budget books, and then the town meeting on April 22nd, and then the referendum on May 6th. And then we meet 2 days later to set the mill rate, assuming the budget passes, which we all hope that's what happens. So this is pretty much identical to last year, just updated the dates. The only big difference is this request by the first selectwoman to have town department budgets in on December 20th. Typically, that has been in early January. So she is asking for it for a little bit earlier, which I'm sure is putting a little stress on some of the town departments, but I do understand, you know, why she wants it as soon as possible, because this schedule just does not have a lot of wiggle room, unfortunately. And that's driven by Region 19. We want to have our referendum on the same date as they do. And that kind of forces us to have a really accelerated timeline compared to other communities you'll see voting like in late June. So they have a lot more time than we do. And then the second page of this just has like a calendar presentation of it, which was just something that I wanted, because I'm a visual person and I really like seeing it on a calendar. So that's the budget calendar that as proposed. Does anybody have any questions about it? Concerns?
No questions or concerns, but I also like the calendar style, just as a note.
Okay, great. I'm glad you do. I really was very pleased with myself that I came up with it. So actually, I didn't come up with it. I stole it from Willington. Willington does something similar. Okay, would anybody be willing to make a motion to accept the town budget calendar as proposed?
Okay, I'll move. to
Okay,
accept.
a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? With that, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that was unanimous. Okay, the next two items are kind of, similarly, just sort of checking a box. Oh, this was the Valerie's note, you can see here.
Mhm.
This, okay, this isn't what I wanted. Okay, so the next item, yeah, budget policies. So these two documents, item D and E, are documents that we basically just update every year, and then it gets included in our town meeting packet, just for kind of background information for the community, and also just a general guidance to our board in what's expected. All of it's pretty straightforward, common sense. It does, so this document does have the dates from the budget calendar. If you see here, like this is the December 20th date. The Board of Ed presentation date. So it's kind of just like spells out the budget calendar. Talks about the public hearing. Really just goes into more detail of like what's expected at all to happen at all the meetings. So I don't know if there's any questions about
Has anything changed from the last one?
the dates?
Anything within the wording?
No,
No, okay.
I
Right.
just changed the dates on this one. I did make
Okay.
a very minor adjustment to the other document, which we'll get to, but no, it's identical, except for the dates.
Okay.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the budget policies for 25-26?
So moved.
Moved.
Oh, Tim made the motion?
I'll second.
Yeah,
Who is that, Holly?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, so the next document. And I'll email all these, I'll make sure they say final, and I'll email these to you guys, and then I think. In the past, on the old town website, we would start sort of the budget. We kind of collect all the budget documents in one place on the website, and we would start with these documents and the schedule. I don't know what the new layout will be with the new website, so I'll have to look into that. So this document is the financial management policy. And then this one, there is a small change regarding the audit. The debt performance. I don't know why there's an empty page there. Let's see. Oops. There it is. Okay, so the small change I made is because of what seems to have happened over the last couple years. In the past, this said the audit will be completed and submitted to the Board of Finance within 175 days of the close of the town's fiscal year period. And I added when possible because I think in the last 4 years, the auditors have all asked for an extension and done it in January. So, and that's the case this year. The auditor has said that they won't be able to complete it by the end of December. Technically, state law says you're supposed to have your audit done by December, but they allow you to get extensions and they grant them basically without any question. And something like 25% of all towns or something need an extension. So I just put it, that's the one minor change I made there. Another point that I think got lost last year that I just want to remind, the first select woman about is that this bullet here, 501c3 organizations that use funds provided by the town must report how those funds were used to the Board of Finance on an annual basis. And again, this is not new. This has been in this document for years, as far as I know. But this does impact things like the fire department and the housing authority. Those are both 501c3s. And I just think we need to make sure that they're providing the reporting that we say we want moving forward. So this is just general stuff here. This talks about the fund balance. This is kind of an important issue that always comes up, which is how much money do we move from the undesignated fund balance to the CNR fund? And that we, as a community and as a board, have traditionally tried to keep 10 to 15% of the general fund operating budget as undesignated fund balance. And that's the reason to do that is when you go out for bonding or debt, you want to have a certain, they look at the percentage that you have in your undesignated fund balance. It's kind of like, okay, it's like your rainy day. You know, if you go to buy a house, right, they want to see that you have some money in savings typically, to show that you're good for it, right? So it's sort of the same thing from the town's perspective. So you'll hear this come up later in the budget process, as we talk about, well, how much money do we have in the undesignated fund balance? And then how much, so if let's say we're at 18%, I don't think we will be, but let's say we're at 18%, you know, that gives us maybe a larger chunk of money to move over to the CNR fund for capital projects, in the town or at the school, so. That's that one, capital improvements, just trying to see if there's anything particularly noteworthy to point out. This is just sort of generally how the capital improvement budget process works. Operating expenditures. There's nothing missing here, it's just, that's a mistake.
It's strange.
Again, so.
I
go
have
ahead.
it loaded, I have it loaded on my machine and there's no space there. So,
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm in the web browser version.
well, I am too, but
Yeah,
Oh.
I am too. I don't have that space.
yeah,
Oh, do you guys, does it go from all current operation and maintenance expenses to the operating budget will provide for da da da
Yep.
da da? Okay,
yeah, you've
so it's
just.
not
got
like
a
there's
good page
anything
break in there.
missing.
No, nothing's
Okay.
missing, but it's just a formatting thing when you're
Yeah.
your computer, so.
Could be this, yeah, could be the screen or the laptop, I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, so again, this is carbon copy from last year. The only change I made is this adding of the phrase when possible here on that bullet. And this document will be included in the packet for the town meeting for the community to be able to see what are the principles and the guidelines that we try to operate within, so. Would anyone be willing to make a motion to accept the financial management policy?
So moved.
That was Keith.
Yes.
Okay, and a second,
I'll second.
Tim. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, the next item is, yeah, there's a lot on this agenda. So, but it's all things that we needed to get done for the budget season, so needed to cram it all in, so thank you for your patience on this. The next item is discussion and possible action regarding the fiscal year 25-26 Board of Finance budget request. And so and then also, because the deadline to have these submitted to the treasurer is December 20th, I need to make sure that we got this done before that deadline, so we would not get in trouble for missing the deadline that we ourselves approved. So this, hopefully you can see on my screen. Oh, it looks like somebody's in there, guest contributor. This is the Board of Finance's budget. And this column here, column H, is what we're requesting for fiscal year 26. So that would be July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. You can see here in column F, this is what our budget was for the current fiscal year that we're in, that was approved last budget cycle. So I pretty much kept it the same. The difference here on audit fees is with our new auditor. They actually were more competitive, of better value. So yay for us. We saved a little bit of money. This is the same. Advertising, I bumped up because our actuals to date were 942. So we're already, so both years, if you look here, fiscal year 24, we budgeted 600. We actually spent $1,000 more. 25, we budgeted 600 and we're already $340 over. So I decided that it might make sense to be a little bit more reasonable, more realistic. I suspect it's because this probably has to do with we have to, by law, notice things like the public hearing and the town meeting and the referendum in newspapers. And so my guess is the price for the advertising keeps going up. And so I think we just need to adjust that number to be more realistic. Printing and binding, I left the same. Postage, I left the same. And then for these last two, copier supplies and office supplies, since we haven't spent anything, but you know, the fiscal year 24 or fiscal year 25, I just knocked those down by 50, just because if we're not spending it, why have $100 in each of those? So that brings us to a total of $23,570 for the fiscal year. And again, that's a pretty decent number less than fiscal year 25, due in large part to the auditor fees. So, does anybody have any questions about this? And this, again, so we'll vote tonight to, you know, either approve or not approve this as proposed. It's not, doesn't mean it's in stone, right? It's still part of the budget process. So it'll get rolled into the general government documents that we see. And, you know, at some point, if somebody has a question or a concern about this budget, they can certainly raise it just like they can with the town clerk's budget or any other aspects of the general government. So this isn't the final word on it by any means. It's just to kind of get the numbers over to Sherry Susie, our treasurer, and the first select woman, so they can put together the general government budget. So would anybody like to make a motion to approve this budget request as displayed?
So moved.
Him, okay, a second?
Second,
Heath, okay, any discussion? No, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. The next item is the 22-23 annual report. Here it is. So this is a document, and I know it's a little funny that it's like so back, it's like so long ago, but it's you know, so like, there's always a lag in putting this documents together, so it just feels kind of funny, like how long it takes, but it's because of how the fiscal years end and whatnot, and this just takes a long time to get all these pieces together. So this document, and we are required, by law, the Board of Finance in every town in Connecticut has to produce an annual report. The statute is like very vague, it's kind of just like, and I think it's like an older statute, you know, it's like, it's almost like, you know, report on the number of horses in the town, you know, it's like pretty old, old timey. So, you know, it's very vague. Like, I think basically we could put together a one-page document and satisfy the law, the letter of the law, but traditionally, what we've always done is kind of ask each department in the town, including the school, to sort of report on like what they did in this fiscal year and what are they looking for in the future fiscal year. And we typically ask for those reports alongside their budget requests. Because they kind of go hand in hand. You know, what did you do? What are you planning to do? And what funds do you need to accomplish those things? So each of these little items are linked to this section. And this year, kind of one of the fun things about doing the annual report is we get to pick who we dedicate it to. And this year we did have some sort of offline discussions to pick the dedication, and we sort of discussed that picking an individual can kind of get tricky. Because sometimes it's like, well, why'd you pick that person? You should have picked this person, and can kind of get political. And we kind of talked about picking a group can be a little bit more neutral. And so we settled on the Babcock Cornet Band, which has a great history in this town and is actually the, let's see, how do you say it exactly? Is notable not just for the appearance at local events, it is also the nation's oldest civilian cornet band, performing since the Civil War. So that's kind of cool. Deserves a little recognition, I think. So that's that. And yeah, so then we just have town by town or department by department reports. There's a Board of Finance report in here. There it is. And again, accomplishments during the fiscal year and then looking ahead. And I'll just sort of scroll. We also include this is so the school board's report is quite lengthy. They also include all their staff. And then we include a few sections of the auditor's report for that fiscal year. So it is a helpful document, you know, if anybody really wants to know what the town is all about, they could go to one of these and have a pretty good idea of what Ashford is all about. And there's a directory and a map. So, and also just so you guys know, we also have someone named, someone in town named Amanda Robinson, who for the last few years has helped edit this. So I got all the submissions via our treasurer, Sherry Susie, and then gave them to Amanda, and she put this document together and tried to clean it up and make edits, and then I reviewed it to make sure there weren't any typos. I also shared it with the first selectwoman and Chris Avakoff to see if they had any edits. They didn't share any with me. So that's the process on producing this document. And we do pay Amanda for her time. It's a pretty reasonable amount, nothing crazy. So that's this document. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the Town of Ashford annual report for fiscal year 22-23?
So moved.
Was that Tim?
That now is Holland.
That was Holland. Sorry, you guys all sound the same. All right, second.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right. We're almost done. Okay, we did all the hard stuff. Just the last item on the agenda, I have update on the steep grant. So, and I'm gonna stop sharing because I don't need to share that anymore. So if you remember, I don't know, like a month or so ago, we heard from the auditor that we had not closed the loop on formally applying for the money from the state through the STEEP program. And that, I can't remember what that acronym is, but we had used or allocated in our capital budget the STEEP grant as a funding source for paving work that was done on Southworth Drive, which is the Ashford Park neighborhood, the loop. Do you live on Southworth, Holland?
I do.
Yeah, so you know what we're talking about, right? They paved it like a year and a half ago.
Yep. Earlier today, a plow wiped out a piece of that curb.
Oh, no, that's too bad. Maybe we can get a little extra money from the state for to cover the curb. So anyway, so this work has been done, and it was like $500,000, I think. And we as a town, I think, had to kick in a little bit. We had to like approve it at town meeting. It was like a whole process. And we got like initial approval from the state, like we saw a document like a year and a half ago that was like, yes, you are going to get this money. But apparently there was then a next step where we had to formally like document all the work that was done and the cost associated and give that to the state, and then they would give us the money. So this is where the auditor comes in. They went through all the receivables and went, oh, wait a minute, you actually haven't received this money yet, this $450,000, which was an oversight. But we did hear, Catherine, our first select woman, sent me an email last week that we got official confirmation that everything's moving ahead, and it sounds like there's not gonna be any issues getting that funding. So that's all worked out in the end, so that's good news. So that's that on the steep grant. And then the next item is just agenda items for the next meeting. I don't think we're gonna need another meeting in December unless something crazy happens or something comes up that I'm not expecting. So the next meeting will be in January, and I'm hopeful that our first meeting, I believe it's January 9th, that will be a presentation from the auditors. That's the date that they've committed to thus far, although I always worry. It seems like the last few years, it's just taken longer. So hopefully we'll be on January 9th, because that'll set us up very nicely for the budget process. We'll have our kind of books closed out, and we'll know exactly sort of what money we are dealing with in terms of surpluses and whatnot. So that'll be hopefully, like I said, January 9th, and then we'll just really be into the budget process in the next year. So, oh, and definitely no meeting next week. That is technically on our calendar. I'll have to issue this meeting has been canceled, because there is a concert at the school, so I need to be at that. I can't be at this meeting. But like I said, I don't think we're gonna need another meeting in December unless something comes up that I'm not aware of. Unless you guys really wanna meet close to Christmas, you know. Sure, everybody wants to like not go to that Christmas party and come to a Board of Finance meeting. Or maybe we should have a Christmas party. There you go. I don't know if there's anything else, like, if you guys have any thoughts or comments about the budget, you know, coming up, anything from last year that you're like, maybe we could have done that better, or is that a dog or a cat?
Yeah, it's a dog.
He has some opinions about
Yeah,
our
when I
budget.
get on the laptop, he wants attention.
Sounds like he's trying to Zoom bomb us. So yeah, any questions or comments or thoughts about the upcoming budget cycle? Nope.
No,
Okay, well, if anything comes to mind, you know, please feel free to reach out and send me an email. Happy to, you know, just sort of get some different ideas or fresh perspectives on things we can do better. So I
yeah,
think that's it. I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to join this meeting and get through all these items on the agenda. And again, if you know of anybody who might be able to be our secretary, let me know. Or not our secretary, we have a secretary, that's Pam, but we need a recording secretary. Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
I'll move.
Hollis, okay, second,
I'll second.
Tim, all those in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
Aye.
Okay, thank you guys, have a great night.
you
Yep, you
too.
have
too.
a good one.
Bye.
Bye.